I know a lot of, us, or not a lot of, I know some councils that do it, and I have no problem with it either. It's just business items, and you know, the recording clerks might be able to have a setup. I don't know, that makes it easy. Yes, Ethan?
Well, just another, I mean, aside from this motion, if council's wish is to adopt this practice, ultimately the best place for that to be is in the procedures bylaw, which or helpfully is already with the policy committee anyway, so ultimately that would probably be, if council desires to adopt this practice, to actually have that put in the procedures bylaw, which you can do that. That would be my recommendation.
But by voting in favor tonight, it can just move forward to the procedural bylaw.
Sure.
Which would make it easier. So if it's a majority vote, Councillor Baswick?
Thank you, Mayor Hunter. With all due respect to my colleague, I think I prefer our own legal counsel to give an opinion on this, because I don't know this legal counsel, I think. So we need one that would represent our community to make that information available to us. So I wouldn't vote this one in until we decide if we're going to go with our counsel, which it works in our best interest. Yeah, that's where I want to go.
Okay, we'll have a vote on that for sure. Councillor Windsor?
I'd like a recorded vote on this as well, please.
Okay, are there any comments? Do you want to repeat that motion back, Luana? Did you capture it?
Moved by Councillor Windsor that all votes are recorded votes until the end of this council's term.
Business items only.
Oh, I didn't catch that. That's pretty good.
Go ahead.
What non-business items would there be?
That was the adoption of the agenda, delegation motions, anything under business.
Okay, I was clarifying
Is
it.
I'm right, I'm saying that under business items.
Yeah.
Okay, any other comments or questions? Councillor Williams?
So just, it's just why not bylaws and policies? If I may, Mayor, I have no problems with it, but why not just add bylaws and policies?
Did you want to respond to that? If it would be a friendly amendment, I guess, what you're asking for, Councillor Williams?
Yes.
I have no objection to that. The recommendation was directed, or was recommended to me that we do the business part,
Yeah.
but I don't mind doing the bylaws and policies either. I have no problem with that.
So do you take that friendly amendment?
Absolutely.
Our recording secretary capture that friendly amendment? Okay, so do you want to read it one more time then?
Moved by Councillor Windsor that all votes are recorded votes for bylaws and policies and business items until the end of this council's term.
Is that it? And you asked for a recorded vote on this as well. So I'll call the vote then. All in favor? Opposed? All right, that's carried. All right, thank you. Now we have our special people in the room. And I'm going to get to the right because I know it's our Didsbury Fire Department Chief Curtis Musso, who's going to speak to us regarding the use of the new heavy rescue unit as a showcase item at the Fire Chiefs Conference and Trade Show in Calgary at the end of May. Welcome, Chief Musso. Always a pleasure.
Thank you for having me. I believe the letter was in the agenda package, but we'd have been approached by Rocky Mountain Phoenix, which is who we had purchased the new heavy rescue unit through. The request was to showcase it at the trade show portion of the upcoming Alberta Fire Chiefs Association, their annual conference. The trade show is a 2-day portion of a 4-day conference where different vendors and apparatus dealers and whatnot, well, it's a trade show to show off different products and whatnot. And it's kind of an industry practice where each apparatus dealer selects certain new builds that they've done to come down and showcase. They approached us just because the vision that we had for the truck and the truck that we designed with the generous support of council of the town and the county. There were some unique aspects to that truck with like our command area that seemed to really impress them and their shop when they were building it. There was a lot of comments that way that this is quite the nice rescue unit. So, excuse me, they had approached us that way. Initially, I have no problems with it operationally because what we can do to maintain our level of service is the necessary equipment that's in that truck. We simply remove it from that truck, put it into another truck, and then we can maintain our level of service that way. In that regard, it's no different than when our trucks go in for repairs, annual testing, whatnot. We take out the equipment we need, it goes away for a couple days, it comes back. I also am in favor of this from a relationship point of view. This is one of our main vendors. We've actually purchased our last 4 trucks through this dealership. So in the interests of maintaining that relationship, they have been very generous when they work with us and work to meet our needs, both operationally, budgetary, whatnot. And I think just it goes a long ways to keeping that in a more positive aspect. It's primarily that. Yes, it gets to showcase the town of Didsbury Fire Department. Absolutely, I'm not gonna lie. I would like to be there to brag about it. I will be there, regardless. This conference is attended by fire officials throughout the province, government officials through Office of Fire Commissioner, Emergency Management. So there is the showcasing aspect, as well as the relationship building, which is where I sit more, not just for now, but for 10 years, 20 years down the road type thing. And as mentioned, with taking all that equipment out, I have no reservations operationally that it would affect our ability to service the town citizens or the citizens of neighboring Mountain View County. So I'm just asking for council's blessing to allow this to go it would be for 3 days. It would go down on the Saturday, trade show is Sunday, Monday, and it'd be home Monday night. And yes, I guess thanks for the consideration.
Thanks for everybody just staring you down, hey?
Yeah.
Keep talking.
It's like,
Okay, I'll let council talk now and ask any questions they have. Councillor Moore?
Can I start by making the motion?
Sure.
I move that council approve the Didsbury Fire Department's use of the new heavy rescue unit as a showcase item at the Alberta Fire Chiefs Association Conference and Trade Show in Calgary on May 26 and 27, 2024.
Questions, comments? Councillor Windsor?
Thank you, Mayor Hunter. Chris, how many members do you think are going to be going with the unit?
I will be the only one attending the conference. We'll have a member drive it down there and pick it back up, and Rocky Mountain Phoenix will bring our member back. And because I'll be staying past the end of the trade show on Monday to attend some of the conference sessions, so nobody else could do the timelines just for between work and personal lives and whatnot.
Okay. So we're only showcasing the unit.
But can other members go?
Just because it's the Fire Chiefs Association, so that includes everybody though, of your members.
You can, yeah. Right now, there's myself and the 2 deputies are members of the Alberta Fire Chiefs Association. It is open to, you can get it just the trade show pass, and there's been others in the past that have attended. Just this year, there was nobody for timeline. We might still get one to go to the trade show, but we'll see how schedules line up.
Can mayors and councillors go?
That I actually don't know, so I would have to look into that.
If they have their fire truck rescue unit in it,
I can ask.
It's something to maybe ask them about.
Yeah,
future years.
I can ask that question.
But, and just, it'll be out of commission for those 3 days, and there's no plans to vacate the building once, it'll just be in there, and you made other arrangements with other
Yeah,
departments.
yeah, we'll have, like I say, we'll have the equipment off that we think we'll need in those 3 days. And we have mutual aid agreements for anything with all our surrounding municipalities if worse came to pass.
Well, I know I share your pride in that rescue unit. It was down at the car show on the weekend, and it's just a beautiful unit, and I'm sure it's very functional and handy to have. And our violinist of Didsbury was playing on top several different sets during the day, which was amazing. And the members there that were the volunteers helping everybody out, take a look inside and showing it off were exceptional again. So I wanted to throw that out too. So thank you for your department always being present for those great events in our downtown core and around Didsbury. So any other comments from anybody? We have the motion to approve with the rescue unit being Calgary for the trade show. Go ahead.
I just think, I guess we can look forward to the ASICs once you get back from the trade show.
I'll reserve that decision till after, if I may.
All right, I'll call the vote. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you so much. Keep you so and enjoy your conference.
All right, thank you for the approval and the kind words. I'm extremely proud of the team that we have, so I'll always pass on those good words to them. Thank you.
Have a good day.
Thanks, you too.
We have the April 23rd, 2024 regular council meeting minutes. Councilor Williams?
Thank you, Mayor. I move to adopt the April 23rd, 2024 regular council meeting minutes as presented.
Any comments or questions on them? A clean copy? All right, I'll call the vote. All in favor? That's carried. We have item 6.1, council reports. Deputy Mayor.
It's been pretty quiet since the beginning of May. Bill and I attended the special council meeting. That was on the 8th. A special committee, not special council meeting, special committee meeting. I think it was the 8th. And I attended the Didsbury Show and Shine on the 11th. And that's all that's happened between my last report and this one.
Well, thank you. Councillor McCoy.
Sorry. I attended a couple of things. I'm just going through my agenda. I gotta go back to financial planning on May 1st. And, no, that's not you guys. That might be it.
We surprised you with this, did we?
Sorry.
We surprised you with the council reports section.
Well, no, because I put one in.
Okay, no, I know. Councillor Brazel, anything you'd like to share?
Yeah, no, I'm not surprised. As you are aware, I'm not in any boards or committee, so I have nothing to report at this time.
You just never know what you're doing out and about there that you might want to tell us, so always give you a chance.
Well, what's out and about, as far as I'm concerned, took a drive today, and there's so much construction going on here, it's awesome. And we're moving forward in a very expeditious way. And I really like what these guys are doing. This administration is really pulling it over the line. So we're gonna have a great summer, construction-wise.
All right, Councilor Williams.
The only thing to report is April 26th, I had an AB Municipal Governments Committee. That one has, I would like to actually find a written report, and that I forgot to bring it in for today, so that will come later. But we're just preparing for our July meeting where we are going through all of the resolutions that have been brought forward by municipalities. So we're preparing for a long meeting in July for that.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Remember that I asked you also to do a little,
Yes.
Yeah. there was two of my notes. How about, what's next, June? Do you want to do June one? I'll remind you.
Yeah, please do.
Thanks, I think that's great to share with our public. Councilor Windsor.
Thank you, Mayor Hunter. Next Thursday, I think we meet, Parkland Regional Library Board meets, and on the agenda is the membership agreement, and that's going to be dealt with top to bottom over a period of time. So that includes the portion that we were interested in earlier, but now it's the entire membership agreement that's open. So it's not just the one clause that we were trying to get changed. It's the whole agreement. For RDR Mug, the RDR Mug membership was invited to go out to Acadia Valley to see the irrigation project and get a first-hand look at what is going on with the irrigation project out there. I had a vision in my mind as to kind of what it was and how it was going to lay out based on pictures and other presentations I've seen. And I was surprised that my idea was maybe a dinky toy beside a feline cat. That this is a massive project out there, and I will have a complete report. It's coming to me digitally. I will have a complete report in a future external report. It's amazing what they're planning out there and what they're doing, and how it's going to transpire to help not just that region, but a whole bigger region of Alberta, and maybe even into a little bit of Saskatchewan. The Water Commission, the 10-year capital budget is being worked on and was presented, and that's not finalized yet, but they're working on it. We also went through the financial audit, and that was accepted and approved. And the other thing that the Commission is doing is their asset management program has been now launched. They are continually updating it, but it is actually operational now. And everybody is starting to become, well, the operators, the management side of it, are becoming familiar with the operating of it, and it's already made a difference in some of the things in identifying potential work that needs to be done. So, yeah, lots of things going on with the Water Commission. And I think that's my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Moore?
Thank you. I guess first of all, in the external reports, you see a whole swack of Waste Commission meetings and minutes and things like that. They've caught up for quite a while there, so anything you want to know about them is in the external reports. May 1st, FPC meeting, which is Financial Planning Committee. Show and Shine on the 11th, and going backwards a bit, on the 9th, Save On Foods opening, which is really nice. It was set up so beautifully, and Greg is so proud. That was at 8 o'clock in the morning, and there was 3 of us there. So good on us for being there, having popcorn and coffee at 8 o'clock in the morning. Mountain View Seniors Housing, we had our strategic planning, which we had the managers with us as well as all of the board members. There's challenges, but there's lots of progress being made, and I look forward to sharing those with you as they come up. Then we had our board meeting the next week, and on the 10th, Westview Co-op, which used to be Grass Lumber, is now Westview Co-op Lumber, and they had a nice day for that, and food and prizes and a ribbon cutting, as was mentioned. Okay, that's mine. Thanks.
All right, thank you. I'm gonna I'll summarize mine May 28th, just because I think I will. So I'm gonna write them down, because it surprised me too, Councillor McQuaid, that I had to do a report. It didn't, I'm just gonna report May 28th. So if there's no questions or comments on the reports, I'll have a motion to accept the reports. Councillor McQuaid?
I just have a quick question, and then I'll make a motion. It's direct to that Councillor Windsor. When you talk about Red Deer River mug, and you go on all these trips, does RDR mug fund those, or do we fund those?
Go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor Hunter. The town funds those. I was appointed to as a co-chair, and there was a meeting that was scheduled for out there, and that's part of the process of me representing the town on that board.
Okay, thank you.
And did you want to make the motion?
Sure.
Okay.
You want me to say it?
Sure. That's the most fun part, besides the voting.
I have some budget. I'll move that we accept the councillor's report as information. Yes.
Yeah, that sounds just right. I was looking for it too. Any other questions or comments? Call the vote, all in favor? That's carried. We have the CO report for May 14th. Anything to add to that, Ethan?
No.
Any questions or comments? Councilor Windsor?
Thank you, Mayor Hunter. So, details about the kickoff, the cleanup week, and the participation of council, is that going to be provided to us at some time down the road as to what we're going to be doing?
Who can answer that?
Yeah, that'll be forthcoming.
Well, you sent out
There's some
information.
information that's gone out already.
Yeah, but I think our history says that it should probably be sent again closer to the event
Yeah,
with a response opportunity.
we'll make sure it's sent.
With the
again.
yes, no, and don't even put the maybe.
Yeah.
I don't think you can take that off, but.
BYOC.
Wasn't it legit that it would go into the link and say if you're coming or not?
Oh, so into the, okay, that's fine too. But
Where do we meet?
I'm just wondering if can that be done though, Ethan, that we just have something closer to the event tonight, only because that helps us.
We will happily send a
Okay.
follow-up.
And we really
With,
appreciate Amanda's
clarifying all
organizational
the
skills on that
layers.
one. So, send it out again? Oh. Oh, well, I have a few questions. You can, I guess, but I'm just reading the information in here. And I know when we put out a press release on our reviewed standpipe, that was in January, and I wonder if, halfway, another 6 months down the road, if we could have a report back next meeting and maybe just do an update to the community, since it's 6 months. Soon, well, maybe 5 months, but Ethan, could that, just a report back to council, and then we just do an update?
Sure. Are you anticipating like just a written update or like a verbal?
Well, I think a written so that we could just pass it on through our social media.
Sure.
I think it's, even the work that's going to be done on it is probably coming up pretty soon.
Yeah.
And people will be wondering what we're doing up there. So why not tell them? If I see Craig nodding, so I actually didn't, but Inside he was. And I just wonder where we're at with the Performance Evaluation Committee, Service Level Committee, on the office closures that went back to them. I don't know if there's any updates on that, just because with summer coming, we're seeing a lot of closures, so I just wonder where the committee is with on those.
We have not met in quite some time.
Oh. Yeah, we're just at the end of May almost, and
Yeah, so.
it's a 2024 plan, so it'd be,
No, I understand. I guess, I wasn't thinking about, like, right now, I wasn't thinking about that, but that's a very good point. Maybe we should be meeting on it and discussing moving forward. That's a good idea.
thanks. I thought it was a good idea in January, but it's okay. We can. Okay, and I think, we should be hearing about our grant soon, should we not? Yes, everybody's eagerly anticipating that for the East Reservoir. And I know you would tell us, I just wanted to say that I'm eagerly anticipating the response too. Yes, it's going to be a big response, big help, a big help, yes. So, anything else from anyone? Did you want to make that motion? And then you have a comment? Go ahead, yeah.
Thank you, Mayor Hunter. I just thought that maybe we should be acknowledging the report that Brooke and Dawn put in on the conference. And I think that's really, really nice and a really thorough report from both of them. So I really appreciate that. And I think council in general appreciate that.
Yeah. Good. That is great when I saw them both there. They seemed to have a good time and were busy at all the sessions, so that's a great opportunity for them. It was a good conference. So now we can have the motion.
I move the council accept the CAO report, date for May 14th, 2024 as information.
Okay, I'll call the vote. All in favor? That's carried. We have, this is what we have all been waiting for, isn't it? Item 7.1, the bylaw 2024-05 tax rate, the third reading. And I do believe we have a chairperson on that committee. Is that you?
Yes.
Go ahead then.
I move that council grant third and final reading to tax rate bylaw 2024-05, a bylaw to establish the rates of taxation for the 2024 taxation year.
Great.
Anything else on that from the committee or administration? Go ahead, Councilor Windsor.
Thank you, Mayor Hunter. I think it's probably worth noting that if a resident is out there doing the calculation of the tax rate and the assessment and multiplying them together, that they aren't necessarily going to come up with the exact numbers, and that is, I should be having our chief financial officer explaining why that is, rather than me explaining
Do you know what he wants you to explain?
$3.
Okay. Go ahead, Amanda.
Yeah, so because of the way that we calculate the tax rate and then have to present it in the bylaw, there always is a rounding error. So if you were to go and calculate some of these numbers, there is a bit of a rounding error. And that's all that Councillor Windsor wanted me to explain. But ultimately your tax levy has to add up to what you approved in the bylaw, so it doesn't perfectly cross multiply or crossfit and add if you were to do the math on everything. But this is not unusual. It happens every year where I'm trying to find the $1 or $2. This year it happens to be $3, so it's a little more prominent. But it's still only $3, which is trivial overall and not something that we would trigger anybody to look at that. So it's okay. It's just from rounding. It's because the tax rate is rounded. And, so it is, we're all above board. But if you are cross multiplying then, and adding, then you will get a little bit of a difference depending on which way you go to figure out the tax rate, or if you're calculating the tax rate, or if you're taking the tax rate times the assessment to get the levy, then it's not quite the same. You'll find it if you go and look at other municipalities' bylaws, you'll see the same thing as well.
Okay, thanks for that. Thanks.
If I can expand on that just a little bit, and that is that our system handles 8 decimal points, and the actual tax rate is 11 decimal points. If you had the full 11 decimal points, it would work out perfectly.
Well, and we do have some inquisitive citizens, so I hope that satisfies their curiosity with those responses. Thank you, Amanda and Councillor Windsor. Any other questions or comments? Well, what time are we making this at? It's momentous, 6:40 p.m. Did you want to make that motion? Oh, no, you made that motion, I'm sorry. You did make the motion. Should have had the deputy mayor. Seems like a significant motion. So no other comments or questions, so the motion is to grant third and final reading to the tax lot rate bylaw for 2024. Call the vote, all in favor? Opposed? Okay, that's carried. We are capturing those now, Luana, was that too fast?
No, I don't.
Okay. I gotta remember now the bylaws and business items to slow down. Okay, item 8.1, budget at a glance.
Yes, we can't take any credit for this. We were presented with it, and it's a work of beauty. So if I would direct your compliments to our CFO, and I would make the motion. Just gotta get down to the bottom here, sorry. I move that council approve the 2024 budget at a glance document as presented.
Agree with you. It's not in the package, I like to keep up with my pages.
What's that? Yeah, I got it now. Thank you. Great, I will call the vote. All in favor? That's carried. Item 8.2, the 2025 to 2029 multi-year capital plan.
Would you make the motion first before the discussion?
Yeah,
I would move that council approve the 2025 to 2029 multi-year capital plan as presented.
okay, comments or questions? Councillor Windsor?
Thank you, Mayor Hunter. I see 2 items on page 35, agenda page 35, under the engineering and infrastructure called the Highway 582, the 20th Street intersection improvement, and the Highway 582 19th Street intersection improvement. We had a meeting with Minister Dreeshen to talk about collaboration, and I'm wondering if something has come of that we're not aware of that puts this on the agenda for 2025 and then further down the road. It seems to me that we are waiting for the collaboration before we move forward with doing this job, with the hope that they were going to share in the cost of it. So I'm a little confused about it being on the capital plan, with the understanding that maybe we don't know that there has been improvement made with Alberta Transportation with regard to collaboration on those projects.
Craig, can you answer that? Is that...
Yeah, thanks for the question. In short, these were put on the multi-year capital plan last fall for placeholders because we do have an understanding of prioritization through the corridor. And you're correct in the conversation with the minister, and this doesn't really align with that just yet. We also have a number of other balls in the air with respect to different things that are going on. And so we're in conversations with the ministry right now to arrange meetings to come up with some solutions and figure out that prioritization, which will impact this, but we won't know those answers for many months just yet.
Thank you.
Mr. McCoy?
Just a quick question. In the 4-year plan, I see that it's 25 to 29 or whatever. Why don't we include the current year's capital at the front of it just to see trends in spending? Or is that a requirement in municipal government?
No, it's not a requirement. You need a 5-year plan, so 25 to 29 is the 5 years. In the past, we've included the current budget year, but then what happens is the budget will be amended, and then we're constantly updating this document. So we just thought to make it easier on ourselves, we took the current year budget out, we just made it the 5 years, the next 5 years, which meets the requirements of the MGA, and it saves a lot of administrative work updating the plan. As far as trends in that go, I guess we could, it would just be advisable to bring like the current year budget to review that, or you might need a few years back to see any trends that are in place.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? No, go ahead, Councilor Windsor.
Thank you, Mayor Hunter. On page 37 of the agenda, under the, well, I guess funding sources is kind of under the funding sources. We have somewhere in the neighborhood of for 2025, a $900,000 unfunded project from the work that's been identified in the plan. And I'm sure that this has happened before, and I'm just maybe waking up to it now. I'm wondering, are we expecting $900,000 extra dollars this year, or $2.1 million extra next year to deal with those items, or should we be looking at a capital plan that we can actually afford to do all the projects on the plan, rather than over budgeting or over planning by $1 million or $2.1 million? Just I'm not understanding why we would plan all those projects that we can't possibly do because we don't have the funds for them.
Amanda?
Well, there are different reasons for putting projects onto the plan, and sometimes there's funding available where if the project was on the plan, that's one of the requirements to be able to get the funding. So this is just kind of a planning tool for us to start the budgeting process. When we sit down as a leadership team to say, okay, what projects are we actually bringing to you for the 2025 capital budget, it may look different than what's on this plan, as you've seen in the past, because the information that we have changes or is updated. And when we're scheduling these things, we try our best to say, okay, this is for next year, 3 years, or 5 years. But when we're actually making the decision to bring it forward in the budget, we know for a fact that we're going to do it that coming budget year. So we're looking a little bit deeper at the project, when it needs to be completed, and also what funds and human resources or capacity we have available to be able to complete those projects. So the plan is more of, in a perfect world, we can get to all these, but when we bring the budget, it's more realistic of what we can achieve and what we can afford at the time as well. So if you want us to go revisit it and make the plan perfectly balanced, then that'll take some work to figure out. But ultimately, I can pretty much guarantee it'll change year to year from what you'll see at the budget process anyways, because that's just the nature of this, of managing these multi-million-dollar assets. So, yeah, it's a bit of a, it's not a perfect science, let's put it that way.
Does that answer your question?
I'm okay with that, thank you.
All right,
Yeah.
okay. Any other comments or questions? We have the motion to accept the multi-year capital plan as, or approve it as presented. I will call the vote. All in favor? That's carried. We have the write-off uncollectible accounts. You need a motion, or everybody wants to make that one, right?
I can make a motion.
Councilor Windsor?
Thank you, Brenda. You want me to read the whole thing? To approve the write-off of the following accounts: the Jardin Insurance 2021 fire call for $2,205, Amonte Organics 2022 bulk water sales for $3,466.14, TerraStar Developments for 2020 interest charge for $1,002.36, DOSCA account 51952 for $871, DOSCA account 52246 for $493.08, and DOSCA account 52329 for $476.58.
All right. Comments? You made the motion, so go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor Hunter. I'm wondering if there isn't a way that we should be looking at this process, the delivery of these kinds of services in a different format. And maybe what it's going to take is to put together a policy of some kind or another. Swimming lessons doesn't work this way. You don't take a swimming lesson and then pay for it afterwards. You don't take a whole bunch of bulk water and then pay it afterwards if you were following the same idea as the swimming lessons. I'm just think that rather than just dealing with this every year, because we are dealing with these things every year, instead of doing that, maybe we need to re-examine the process that we're using and how we're looking at this, and maybe even develop a policy so it's organization-wide, so that we try to circumvent these things from happening. That would just, I don't know if that's a possibility or not, but I really think that we should be doing something that isn't going to saddle the taxpayers with these burdens every year, year after year, because of delinquent payments.
Good observation. Councilor Bazar?
Thank you, Mayor Hunter. I agree. I think it's something that, in this day and age, excuse me, 30 days, 60 days, that's old hat. Nobody does that anymore. With e-transfer, credit cards and that type of thing, no matter where I go, you either pay up front or you don't get the product or service. So I don't think that if we could look at that, it's probably worth exploring to see if it's feasible and workable and not going to create a real change in the whole operation. But it's something perhaps we could look at and see if it's a smart idea to say, hey, if you want bulk water, just throw your credit card in and take what you want and pay for it right now. That's it. That's the way it works. Thank you.
Yeah, those are good observations. Amanda probably has a thought on that.
Well, I agree that would for sure limit our risk. There's a couple of unique scenarios here with DOSCA accounts. If we're collecting money in advance, we actually don't know how many hours they've used the program and for that month. So then we would constantly be reconciling that. So, I mean, there is an opportunity there to take a deposit for 1 month's worth of fees, something like that. And, you know, these are also, I didn't put the years that they stem from, but they're several years old. And we haven't had any since. So they're doing a really good job of collecting and watching. If you don't pay right away, you don't get service for the next month. The bulk water sales is one where we would have to upgrade our system to be able to take credit card at the pump, and that may be a costly endeavor. So again, we would have to have some sort of deposit on account or something of that nature to be able to collect in advance. And so it's definitely something that we could look into and limit our risk. Overall, these were just kind of unique ones, and we haven't seen write-offs I haven't brought write-offs for accounts receivable in quite a few years, other than the grants in place of taxes write-off. So our staff members dealing with collections are doing a pretty good job. These are just a few that have slipped through, unfortunately.
Thanks for that. Deputy Mayor?
Yeah, thanks. Now I understand the bulk water. I thought it was paid for in advance, and that's just my own thinking process. I thought that they bought it and then picked it. So that, you just clarified that for me.
You can do points, but not big.
Okay. The one that probably disturbs me the most, and I don't need an answer on this, but Desjardins Insurance not paying for a fire call. That's an insurance company in a fire risk call, and I don't want to know the reason. I don't know that I have the privilege to know it, but that one really alarms me that they're not covering something that they insured someone for, in my opinion. I gotta be careful how I say that, because I don't know the semantics of it. That one just seems to be a strange one where Desjardins owes us money and we can't collect it.
Well, and not that you're asking, but it's more of the information that we're collecting. They're fighting that wasn't in their system. So even though the vehicle owner gave us that as their insurance information, Desjardins is saying that it was not our customer.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, well then I would retract what I said, because like I said, I didn't understand it.
They're listening to you.
I don't know, but I'm looking at this thinking, well, if we submitted a bill to them,
Yeah.
but if we were given false information or something, then I would understand that. That one just kind of caught my attention, that they owe us money, or perceived to.
Councilor Corley and Councilor Bradley?
Based on your question, I just have another question. If person produced the wrong information, potentially, can't you send the bill to them? Yeah.
I haven't personally been dealing with this, so I'm not sure if that, I'd have to follow up on that to see if that is possible or not.
It's kind of a weedy.
Sorry, I didn't catch that.
It's kind of a weedy, and I'm in the weeds when I
Oh.
ask that question.
Well, I mean, it's a good question. I just don't know the answer.
Okay, thank you.
Councilor Bradley?
Thank you, Mayor Hunter. I just wanted to say, I think we reached a milestone today because a politician just retracted a statement. That rarely happens, and thank you for doing that.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
So, go ahead, Councilor Windsor.
Thank you, Mayor Hunter. I'm a bit lost here. I'm not sure how we vote to not approve this. On the other hand, we need to do something so that I believe we need to do something to move forward in the future so that we reduce the risk of this. And so I guess I'm looking for direction as to what we do with this.
Send it to a committee. Or have some information come back if there's other municipalities that do that have something in place that would have payment up, I mean, swim lessons is the same, I mean, that's easy. Like people paying up front for products and services like that, but, and your reconciliation point about hours and whatnot, that gets, I think that if there's gotta be other municipalities out there that has that sort of safeguard, and it would be a good start to check out a few municipalities and then bring that information back, and maybe there's nothing, maybe there is. Councillor Beswick and then Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor Hunter. I think, from my point of view, we deal with this, accept or reject, and then another motion to send it to committee.
Yeah.
But in order to expedite things, we can just move on.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah, no, I was.
But on that point too, the one that Amanda might look into, is that something you want that could be looked into and could come back to write it off later? Or do you like to write them off all at the same time? And it's not I mean, any money of taxpayers' money is too much, but at the same time, it's 1,000, which is it worth looking into any follow-up with the person that gave the information to the Desjardins?
Yeah, we can, it doesn't have to be written off at the same time. So if you want to take that off and we can look into it and answer your questions, then we can do that as well.
Would everybody like that, just for information to see? I mean, it could be that it was looked into and that would be easy to come back just with that $1,000. You'd have to amend your motion. Who made, Councillor Windsor made the motion to, you'd have to amend it to remove that and have that looked into.
And so that.
Or we could create a better policy for future and deal with this one the way it is. It's your motion.
Well, I think that I'll amend my motion and remove the Desjardins from this, because I think we'll make a motion to research that further and bring back more information on it. And then I think also we'll make a motion to, I don't know, send it to committee or whatever to investigate possibilities of reducing the risk of these things occurring.
And I was looking at the wrong one. It's 2,200. So.
Yeah.
Deputy Mayor?
Yeah, I think, I guess we have to be careful that we're not doing a process for them, but is there, like on here, I may not see any, I don't even know what committee would it go to? They have a performance, not the performance, but the, if it's going to be a policy that would come out of the findings, I guess, but someone needs to do the lifting on looking at ideas.
Councillor Windsor?
Thank you, Mayor Hunter. Maybe I was jumpingly done a little bit on that. I think we would direct administration to draft and bring a concept forward, which would then be assigned to the appropriate committee, I think.
Perfect.
And I apologize for not being clear. I was jumping, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have an amended motion, and can we have a total then with the total uncollectible without that number in there to be included in the motion? Would you mind that either? To have a total, I think we always usually do. So we're moving Desjardins off there. Approve the write-off of the following accounts in the amount of, the total amount of
$6,309.16.
Oh, I was gonna say, how did we round that off just right? Okay, so that's good. Everybody's good with that? I will call the vote. All in favor? That's carried. And then the next motion,
Next motion would be to direct administration to return more information on the Desjardins insurance 2021 fire call for $2,005 and whether or not that can be billed directly to the individual.
okay. Now you're gonna get to a good, is that all you want back from administration for now? Because when that comes back, then
He's gonna do a separate motion.
you're gonna do a third one now. Okay, I'm just clarifying that.
Oh, no.
We're just at number 2 right now. Okay, can you read that back?
Moved by Councillor Windsor that administration bring back information regarding the Desjardins Insurance 2021 fire call for $2,205 if this can be billed directly to the individual.
Okay, call the vote. All in favor? That's carried.
And Mayor Hunter, I move to direct administration to explore different options available to reduce the risk of future delinquencies in provision of service to the community.
Product and service?
Product and service?
Yeah. Let's get it repeated first.
I'm going to say it again.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Move to direct administration to explore the options available to us to minimize the risk of delinquent products and services provided to the community. Is that close?
Payment.
Future uncollectibles.
Future uncollectibles?
Want to do one more, John?
Councillor Moore?
Yes, Amanda was saying that she hasn't brought these to us for several years. And I can see they're 2021, 2020 and thereabouts, and that there are no delinquencies in DOSCA right now, and that their staff is being very careful to collect these things. I think perhaps we're solving a problem that has been mitigated as best that staff could, being that there isn't, that we don't have those for this year. And these are, like, we write off things at Mountain View Seniors Housing as well. There's always a few things, and they're very small. I agree with the Desjardins, because that one, if it hasn't been tried to contact the actual person, it should. But other than that, I think that these are things that it'll cost us more to solve it than it does to just write them off as everyone else does. So I'll be voting against this.
Deputy Mayor?
Yeah, sorry, I didn't read my dates on here. So it's kind of one a year? Is what we're sort of seeing on here?
I believe the DOSCA accounts were from 2020, 2021. And keep in mind, there are other things that we can write off if they're under $300. There are things from time to time that are deemed uncollectible. And if they're under 300, the directors have the ability to put it forward for write-off as well. We do have like an internal process for all the steps we need to do for before we can even get something to collections, and then at that point to be brought forward to be written off, which is what we follow. And it just outlines who's responsible for the revenues of the town and ensuring that we're collecting all of the revenues that we're supposed to be, and how we attempt to collect those if they're late or delinquent. So I think that would be beneficial for you to review, even though it's an administrative process.
Go ahead.
Okay, thank you for that. Yeah, so I don't see it being an issue. You guys may come back and say, like, this is what we're doing already, and we may be able to determine that that's all that can really be done. We're never going to eliminate it 100%, but I think that for us to understand that at least would be good.
And I also think if, I mean, And it's important too, if council needs a policy on that. I think that's important, the council has a policy on that. And would you mind amending your motion to bring that back first and see if you're willing to share that, then we can see if, I mean, the oversight of financials and budgets is council's in the big picture. So a policy may or may not be needed, and that would be based on what we see already in place.
Yeah, and further to that, we do have the accounts receivable policy, which describes what value of items need to come back to be written off, but maybe this is where we speak about council's perspective on basically how harsh we are. Like, there are things that we can be more stringent on. It all comes back down to the level of risk that you want to take on as an organization. So I think that would be a good policy to integrate these concepts into. It already exists and it may need tweaking already,
So the accounts
Anyway.
receivable policy,
Mhm.
and is that due for review anyway? Or it has its past review, or?
Yeah,
Way past.
it hasn't been brought in, I think, since 2018.
There you go.
I believe it was right before.
That's a good idea to bring that back then, yeah. Mhm.
Thank you, Mayor. So maybe the motion should be that we should bring back that policy, and then addition to that, considering and exploring the possible options available to us to minimize the risk.
For review and recommendation, I think if you just bring up that policy, you have the number and?
The policy's FIN 005. Is this something that council would refer to the FPC committee?
Please come here first,
Oh, okay.
always. Yeah.
I was, she said that.
Yeah, they always come here first. I think the council sees it and then they go to the committee. So do you want to name that policy again and then you want to amend your motion again? Or rescind that first, or withdraw that first one and then?
The policy's FIN 005, accounts receivable.
Bring it back to
May 28th council meeting for review and recommendation.
For review and recommendation, yeah. And withdraw the other one.
Clarification, withdraw the Desjardins one?
No.
The Explorer.
just the ones.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Okay, do you have that one then?
Yes. Okay, so moved by Councillor Windsor that administration bring back policy MIN 005, accounts receivable for review and recommendation to the May 28 regular council.
Okay,
Call the vote, all in favor? That's carried. We have the 2024 Roadworks Award recommendation. Deputy Mayor?
I move the council approve the 2024 roadworks contract to Border Paving Limited for $472,530.47, consisting of 20th Avenue Mill and overlay for $171,202.90, 15th Avenue Mill and overlay for $74,038.53, and the Co-op Road surface works for $227,289.04. Do you want, it's two motions.
Yeah, it is. Any comments or questions? Councilor Windsor?
Thank you, Mayor Hunter. In the past, we've had an evaluation matrix for road work and contract bids. And I'm just wondering why we don't see that for this particular project or this series of projects. Because typically we would see a matrix that would categorize each or measure in each category, and that would dictate which one was the best service provided. And so I'm wondering why that isn't included in this one.
Craig will probably answer that.
Thank you for the question. Yeah, so for this year's roadworks program, basically when you have the three top companies in our area, so Border Paving, Ruby Rock, and Professional, their health, safety records are all the same. Their ability to perform the work is the same, their expertise is the same, and so you really kind of come down to the dollar value and what we would call local experience. And again, local experience is one of those tough ones when you're on a public tendering process above $240,000 or $250 on the public sphere. That local experience is relatively relative in that they all have had experiences in Didsbury, and so they all kind of meet the same criteria. So that's the evaluation matrix wasn't deemed to be as beneficial for this evaluation because of the price disparity and the lowest bidder being such a large gap. There's no distinguishable difference, so that then the difference becomes the price.
Thank you.
Right? Yeah. Thank you, Craig. Well, you did, and then that's, thank you, Craig. Sorry, Councillor Windsor. Confused me. Any other questions on that? Any reason why there is such a disparity in, like that is a big one, really, for...
Yeah, it's, as we explained in the RFD, there was a broad range of unit rates that were lower in the low bid price. So there wasn't, there's sensitivities in contracts where a contractor might anticipate your overages in one spot and they'll bid that really high and make low bids other places to make up for it. We didn't find any of that in this assessment. It was a broad range where really the only sensitivities we saw were on the landscaping side and the restoration of the topsoils. And that would probably more likely to do with the subcontractor's price that they came in with. So we're pretty confident that we can control it within the contingencies.
Pretty confident or very, very confident? That's okay.
Thank you.
Okay, any other comments? This is always exciting too, to get the tenders out and awarded and make Councillor Basel happy with more construction.
Yes.
Okay, so I will call the vote on the first motion to approve Border Paving for $472,530. Call the vote, all in favor? That's carried.
And to approve amending the 2024 capital budget as follows. Increase the 20 Avenue Mill and Overlay project to $182,000, funded from CCBF. Decrease the 15th Ave Mill and Overlay project to $85,000, funded from the CCBF. And increase the Co-op road surface work projects to $249,000, funded from MSI.
Does that mean we still have MSI available? Like it's not just we're used to using that acronym? So, yeah.
Yes, we have.
And if I look back at the budget, that's probably what it said, so. Any comments or questions? Okay, I'll call the vote. All in favor? That's carried. There. Again, now you have something new, Craig. Map, item 8.5, map funds allocation to reserves. Councillor Baswick.
Thank you, Mayor Hunter. I move to approve to transfer the municipal area partnership disbursement funds of $3,587.58 to the Strategic Initiatives and Contingency Reserve.
Thank you. Questions or comments? Call the vote, all in favor? That's carried. We have item bill, 8.6, Bill 20, Municipal Affairs Statutes Amendment Act 2024. Deputy Mayor?
I move to approve Mayor Hunter to send a letter on behalf of Council to Premier Daniel Smith and Minister of Municipal Affairs Rick McIver and MLA Nathan Cooper, asking that the Government of Alberta rescind Bill 20, the Municipal Statutes Amendment Act, due to the extensive concerns raised by municipal leaders across Alberta, including the town of Didsbury, Council, and the Government of Alberta. And that the Government of Alberta engage municipal governments through a collaborative and trust-based consultation process to update the Local Authorities Election Act and Municipal Government Act to assist municipal governments to effectively govern in the interests of their residents and deliver on the future needs of each community in Alberta.
Thank you for that, Deputy Mayor. Councillor Ward?
Yes, I just saw that Alberta Munis was against this and people were talking about it. Then I watched Alberta Prime Time and the mayor of High River was saying people will have to join a political party and he talked about the freedoms that we would lose. We've been told over and over again that these parties are not UCP, Liberal, NDP, they're not. It's more likely like a Build Our Pool party or Union. And there's a lot of good things in this act. Like that in the Election Act that donations to third-party advertisers are reduced from 30,000 to 5. And I see in the notes from Alberta municipalities that they're complaining about 5. It was 30. It's going to be 5. It's better. And in other cases, like Councillor Chu in Calgary, he was found. He was found to have a really bad charge against him, which just went under the criminal part that would have disqualified him. And they've been eliminating him from committees and deputy mayor because he might have to speak about misconduct, sexual misconduct or violence. And they can't get rid of him, and there's no reason for the minister to do it. This act would allow the minister to be able to say either he's removed because of the charge or the CAO can have a referendum. And that freedom would have made Calgary City Council a lot better off. I think we're throwing the baby out with the bathwater. We haven't really looked at it. There's 137 pages, and if you haven't read it, I don't think we should be passing this if you haven't read the actual document, because there's more good than bad. So although I would have probably initially went along with what Alberta Munis said, a lot of what they're saying, in fact, they do list the things that they approved. There are things they find really good about this too. I think it's better to work with this minister, because he does work with us, than to just reject it out of hand and rescind it. So I will be voting against this, and I would encourage others to as well.
Councillor Williams?
Thank you, Mayor. There's, Bill 20 is a large act that's been brought forward. There's a lot of things in there that I'm totally okay with. There's some that I'm not in favor with. However, I don't like the motion that's been presented, and I'm going to vote against it. However, I could vote for it if we get rid of the part that says asking the government of Alberta to rescind Bill 20. Because Minister Rick McIver has said multiple times he wants to work with all municipalities to get this right. So I think we say get rid of the part that says asking to rescind it and just say we want to work with you to make this piece of legislation the best it could be.
Deputy Mayor?
I agree with Councillor Williams. There are some good things in the act. There are some things that I disagree with. And I think a better way to put it, I know there's been talk that they are going to consult, but I don't think we should rescind Bill 20. We should engage in Bill 20 and make changes where appropriate. We should encourage to change the areas that are of concern to us, but not to get rid of the whole bill.
Councilor Bowser?
Thank you, Mayor Member. It's a heavy read, and while I'm embracing most of it, there are some things I'm guarded on, as other people are. I expect some amendments to come down the road. That this isn't cast in stone yet. So rescinding something or suggesting it be rescinded without these amendments, potential amendments that could be coming, would be premature on my part, for my thinking. And I guess generally I like what I'm seeing. I have some reservations. They're not hard reservations, but I'm sure they'll be addressed with the amendments that I expect to see from our provincial government. So I won't support this the way it is written, unless it is changed in a supportive way to our minister. Thank you.
I think if anybody sat in on the webinar, our president of Alberta Municipalities this was their motion they were sending out to us, and they sent it to everybody obviously in this package. And if the question was also asked at the webinar about amending it, and it was 76% rescind, but that doesn't mean, he said, if your council has reasons why they don't want to rescind it, then they would welcome all of the input from councillors to know why we don't support the whole thing. There are good things here, and I think Alberta Municipalities did a great job of presenting what is good, what they don't like as Alberta municipalities, and our council has that opportunity too. And we wrote to them as well about political parties, and got a response really that Calgary and Edmonton are going to be the only ones affected, but that doesn't mean in 2029 we won't be. And you read the letter that going to the point of no return, that you can't take that back once it's done, generally with the party. But I think amend the party in power. To amend it might be what you were, that we work with the government to amend it, but I think at the same time, and maybe not tonight, but that's a good conversation going forward to capture, and the word is they're going to pass this May 30th, and that doesn't leave much time as well. So our motion could just say to asking the government of Alberta to amend Bill 20 and take out due to identified concerns raised by municipal leaders or raised by our council. I'm hearing we're not thinking there's extensive concerns. There are concerns, though. I think we all agree with that. But if one small word like to amend would help everybody be more amenable to passing this, and then put together, we could do that right now if anybody wants to say what they don't like about rescinding it. We could add that to a letter too. So I think all the good things are definitely need to be captured, like Alberta Municipalities has captured them. I said as far as, as far as disqualifying a councillor, those processes are already in place through municipal inspection or through the Recall Act. Once it's strengthened, and they strengthen it somewhat that it goes to the minister, but they haven't strengthened enough that you need a bit better criteria to be able to do that. You can't just write the letter that you're putting up a homeless shelter in Wetaskiwin, so the mayor has a recall against them. So those would be some of my concerns. Is point of view, you just can't reverse decisions like municipal parties in elections once they're made. That would be hard for the party in power to do that unless a new party came in power. And then the other part of that being strengthen the Recall Act a bit more, and not enable the provincial government to come in unless those, to me, those two things are enough. Municipal inspections and recall. Those are enough if they're legislative rate. Councilor McCoy.
I hear all the positives and the negatives. My concern is that I think we should wait and see what comes of it, and I think we would get more by engaging with municipal affairs and suggesting that we're the perfect sized rural community for them to look at. The problem that I have with being a member of some, whether it be, I don't know, you said it was like colors or something, but whatever it is, I have concerns with that because, especially in rural Alberta, it's very conservative. And I don't think it benefits the community for us to abide by the government in power's beliefs and strategies. So I don't agree with the whole politicizing of municipal government.
Councilor Moore?
We've been told that no one will ever have to join any kind of party, and the party in power has nothing to do with it. It would be, a lot of times it's like a teachers union or a build our pool or something like that. I would never join a party of any kind, but when there is a coalition of people that are going for the same thing, it should be declared, and those of you that like transparency should like that. So if there is going to be a group that is putting candidates forward to accomplish something, that should be clear. And maybe the next year there wouldn't be any of that. And I don't think there is going to be in small communities. We aren't going to see those parties unless there's a real push to do something, and then it should be known. So I don't think that's an issue. And it's been explained to us that isn't. But I agree with Councillor McCoy that the idea of engaging with them and wanting to make this a better document, that we should wait and work with the minister. This is a minister that we can work with.
Well, at the Municipal Leaders Caucus, it was very strongly worded that political parties are there anywhere and anyway, and that's what I heard our minister say, and that's why I would agree with saying to amend this. I don't think there's anybody that wants to not work with our minister or with the provincial government on these things, and I also have to say, I don't think any of us here are worried about the election. I'm very much all in favor of democracy. We run on what we run on, and the democratic process elects us. So if our voters say that we have 3 new councillors, then that's what we'll have. And I support that and I respect that. So I made all my points that I needed to make. And those are my opinions, and our opinions don't often change because someone disagrees with them. Because I've done my research and read everything and sat in on webinars. And if everybody is satisfied with changing amend in there.
From we said to amend.
Yeah, the word in the second sentence, to amend. And I think, like our president asked us, if you have things that you like and don't like, or you can't support this for a specific reason, to let them know what that is, because that's our voice too, besides our voices to the minister or to our government. So they're open to hearing anything that we'd like to them to consider. Go ahead.
Thank you. Some of the points that I'm uncomfortable with is just the power for provincial cabinet to rescind a bylaw I just want more clarification on that and more clarification on to remove a city councillor or city individual. I just want more clarity on that. That's my two biggest things. Not saying that I'm for or against, I just want very vague.
Thanks for that, Deputy Mayor.
Yeah, I'm not so hung up on the political parties. I don't think a political party should be running municipally. I don't agree with that. However, I don't know that we can stop that anyway. If 5 people get together and they have a certain view, I don't know how any legislation stops. That may be just playing with words. I'm not comfortable actually with those points either. I'm not saying that a councillor shouldn't be able to be removed. I think at times they do need to be removed, but I don't see a clear enough path to doing that in the document. So that's something I would want clarification on. You know, how do you do it? The policy one, that's hard because I think that municipalities should be able to write their own policy, and the provincial government, those are just two. Clarity, I guess, in fairness to Councillor Williams, would be the best word to use there to clarify how those look, because I'm not opposed to either of them. I just don't understand what they mean by them, how they're going to carry that out, and what would fall under that criteria. So I am all about the transparency. The more transparent that we're asked to be, I am in full support of that.
Thanks for that. Councillor Bazard?
Thank you, Mayor Hunter. The way I look at it is, I don't believe there's a timeline on this, because if they're going to do any amending, it's not going to happen in the next 10 days. It's going to be however long it takes. And I can't vote on something not knowing where it's at. So from my point of view, I'd be waiting for the amendments to come through to adjust this bill to the liking or disliking of whoever's looking at it. So at this point in time, I'm not going to jump up and down and say, I'm out, you got to do this or whatever. I'm ready to sit on the fence and vote against this letter because I feel it's premature. That's fine.
Okay, I'm just going to add one last thing, and I agree with Councillor Williams and Deputy Mayor, certainly those clarifications, and I'd like to know too what's different about the government coming in and removing a councillor that would be different from a municipal inspection or just strengthening the Recall Act that would help. And if they want our citizens to have more say, then strengthen the Recall Act. That gives legitimate reasons for that rather than starting a homeless shelter, and that is a fact. Then what would be different and know what they can do that the municipal inspection can't do and the Recall Act can't do? And, you know, I said here, believe that a few councillors or councils who have faced involvement in action of a municipal inspection from our provincial government over the years does not point to a need for further action outside of municipal inspections and subsequent rulings and directions by the minister. So they already have that power and authority in those situations. And I'd like to know what would be different, add on to that, what would be different with, along with those questions that Councillor Williams and Deputy Mayor asked. Councillor Moore?
Having done an inspection, the parameters that we were given are very specific. We could not address issues with councillors themselves. We did bylaws and looked at their bylaws and policies and made recommendations there. Our focus had to be based on administration and generally the CAO. We went through 3 CAOs during our inspection, so that was just about impossible. And it was a conflict that we could not address with the rules for inspections being what they are. the inspection of Chestermere was given special parameters that are not normal. So the inspection does not cover the kinds of things that Calgary experienced with Councillor Chu at all.
And I'll put that in the letter as to what we'd like them to answer, because I like their answer, Councillor Moore.
Well, I would too. I'd like clarification, but I'm not so sure that we are in a position to be able to do a letter and say exactly what we want. We need clarification and telling them what we want ahead of time. We don't have enough information to ask the right questions, I don't think. So I'll be voting against sending a letter as well.
Well, any other comments? Questions? So, did you guys capture those? And, well, it's recorded. We can capture those if we get the motion to approve that we forward this as amended and to engage with the provincial government and Minister of Municipal Affairs. Send Alberta municipalities our concerns as well, that we don't like rescind, we like amend because of the reasons that we've mentioned. So the motion is, who took the, well, it's right here, but it's up on the screen, so all we would add is to the word rescind would become amend. And I have to say, there's, May 30th is the timeline, so I don't know that, I hope there's more time than that, Councillor Baswick. I know that we heard May 30th and getting into the summer break with this passed. So when the letter would go out this week, if it's approved, and everybody is good then with that one word being changed to amend. And then we'll capture those concerns or those questions in the letter that our recording secretary will look at the video. Go ahead.
Yeah, I will amend my motion to add the word amend. And I'm okay with sending them a letter to say we would like to amend it after clarification. We may not need to, but we need clarification, so I am okay with, can we put in there that we're sending this letter to amend Bill 20 after clarification?
You would support.
So, like, we want clarification on those questions, so we want to make an amendment to Bill 20 unless those questions satisfy, like once they clarify what they mean by it, we may be satisfied.
We would support an amendment to Bill 20 based on the responses to our questions.
Yeah. Well,
where would you fit?
An amendment, I guess in consideration of the time, yeah, there's some things we probably would like amended unless there's good, clear clarification on the questions. If our questions all come back answered to our satisfaction, we don't need to amend it. We could accept it, but I think if by just sending it in to amend with our questions, if those question answers come back, we're thinking way into the future. So I'll change it to just like to amend. Send a letter that we'd like to amend Bill 20.
Government to amend Bill 20.
And then have our questions in there.
I think the only other word that might be strong, though, based on this conversation, is due to extensive concerns. I think just due to Didsbury Council's concerns, the concerns raised by council, and some of that doesn't have to be there, because if there's extensive concerns by a whole bunch of other councils, that's fine, they can have them. But I don't want to speak for those other municipalities either. I want to speak for us.
So then change it to amend Bill 20 addressing council's concerns.
Mm-hmm.
councils did, we don't have, it's our council.
Yeah, so, okay, let's
I
say
don't know if
that.
that makes sense, though.
Asking that the government of Alberta amend Bill 20 based relative to the concerns raised by Town of Didsbury Council, and that the government of Alberta engage municipal governments through a collaborative and trust-based consultative process. So, and then we'll go on. Councillor Windsor?
Thank you, Mayor Hunter. I think we've identified 3 areas that we'd like clarification.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not sure that there even needs to be an amendment to this bill pending that clarification. So I think the letter, in my mind, maybe I'm skewed here, but in my mind, the letter is asking for clarification on the items that we have below, that we've itemized below, so that we know whether we need to work toward an amendment or not. So there's some good things in this bill that I think that we don't want to toss out the window, but at the same time, there are some concerns. So I think that the way that we word this letter to the minister is really important. To say that we would like clarification at its earliest convenience, so that if it does go before cabinet on the 30th, that at least maybe we have an opportunity to say something.
So yes, I think that's what I was trying to set out somehow, was that we need clarification. We don't know if we want it amended or not.
Hunter, send a letter on behalf of council, Premier Daniel Smith, the Minister of Municipal Affairs, Rick McIver, and Emily Nathan Cooper, clarification on the following,
Topics discussed.
on the following proposed amendments from their part.
And then they have them captured.
Yeah.
I can actually support that.
And then,
Oh, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor Hunter. And I think that not just to Daniel Smith and the Minister of Municipal Affairs, I think it should also be CC'd to Alberta Munis.
Yeah, I think we just add the CC on there.
and Nathan Cooper also.
Yeah, he's in there. So the concerns are how?
Clarification on the removal of senior councillors and clarification on rescinding municipal bylaws
Mm-hmm.
and policies.
Yeah. And how that, I'd like the other one, that how would that be different than what they can already do through the legislation that's in place of municipal inspections and
Yours was on
the Recall Act?
Recall Act.
Yeah, so those 2 things they already have in place. So how would they be different than what they're proposing?
I think we should also emphasize that we want to work with the province to make this work, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I think it says that there, does it, or do you catch that somewhere? Through a collaborative and trust-based consultation process. Work with the provincial government through a collaborative and trust-based consultation process. To assist municipal governments to effectively govern. So does that captures it? We're not really saying that.
It's kind of the opposite. It's telling them, sorry,
Well,
it's telling them the opposite. The government of Alberta should be contacting municipalities, and I think that's a different statement.
well, no, I was taking that part out.
Oh, okay.
And that the government of Alberta engage municipal governments through a collaborative trust-based that quote comes out. But that we, that we like to work with the provincial government to, in a collaborative and trust-based consultative process to update the LAEA and MGA to assist municipal governments and to effectively govern. So I think that captures it without that 5 or whatever 10 words they are taken out. Can you
need to read what I had.
Yes.
Okay, moved by Deputy Mayor Engel to approve Mayor Hunter to send a letter on behalf of council to Premier Daniel Smith and Minister of Municipal Affairs Rick McIver and MLA Nathan Cooper, asking for clarification on the following proposed amendments: removal of councillors and how would this be different from the recall act or municipal inspections, clarification on rescinding municipal policies and bylaws, and that government of Alberta engage with municipal governments through a collaborative and trust-based consultation process to update the Local Authorities Election Act and the Municipal Government Act to assist municipal governments to effectively govern in the interests of their residents and deliver on the future needs of each community in Alberta.
Councillor Williams and Councillor,
Still rescinded that.
no, well, it's not supposed to
No, it was about clarifying about the government rescinding or repealing bylaws.
be. Yeah. Councillor Williams and Councillor Windsor again?
I like it. I think we just give that in town Didsbury. I'm much forward to working with the government of Alberta.
That'll be in the letter.
Yeah, that's what I think.
We'll capture that in the letter, but this is the content that, or, all we could add at the beginning, Councilor Williams, is in the spirit of, in the spirit of working with our provincial government, Mayor Hunter, council approves that Mayor Hunter send a letter.
I like that. Yeah.
Councilor Windsor and then Councilor Moore.
Thank you, Mayor Hunter. In terms of the motion, if I recall it correctly, it includes the statement about engaged municipal governments. I don't think what this council is wanting to do is to direct the government to work with governments. I think what we're doing is we're trying to ask them to speak to us, to address our concerns. And so I don't think that we want to direct them to engage with municipal governments. I think we want to ask them to work collectively, collaboratively, and trust-based with us.
Well, we took up the extensive concerns raised by municipal leaders, right?
But the engaged municipal governments are still there, and I think it should be, it's just,
Where was it at?
Because these are our concerns.
yeah.
To assist, are you talking about that sentence?
No, it was,
Well, we took that out.
maybe to help us understand, it would be better to have Lou read the motion again, just
Yes.
to make sure that we're.
All right. So can I start after the points?
Yes, we got those.
Yeah, the removal of councillors and the clarification on rescinding municipal policies and repealing municipal bylaws. And then and that the government of Alberta work with Didsbury Council collaboratively. This is hard, because it had municipalities in Alberta engage municipal governments. So it says engage with municipal governments, so if we can engage with
Didsbury Town Council.
Okay, so Jocelyn wrote, reiteration of council's willingness to work with the government of Alberta through a collaborative and trust-based consultation process with council. That sounds good.
Just that.
Good.
All that other Alberta munis, blah, blah, blah should be gone.
I support Alberta municipalities and their initiatives. We can just,
That's no.
certainly, they can do what they do with the majority that they have, and it was 76%, so I think they'll forge ahead, but I appreciate everybody's thought into this. And I think we have a motion, right? Haven't said that and call the vote. All in favor?
Oh, I'm sorry, could I hear it one more time? It still had all that stuff at the end the last time I heard it.
Okay, can you give me a second? I'm just getting. So, moved by Deputy Mayor Engel in the spirit of working with the provincial government that council approve Mayor Hunter to send a letter on behalf, send a letter to Premier Danielle Smith, the Minister of Municipal Affairs, Rick Guyver, and MLA Nathan Cooper asking for clarification on the following proposed amendments. Removal of councillors and how would this be different from the Recall Act and municipal inspections. Clarification or on rescinding municipal policies and repealing municipal bylaws. And reiteration of council's willingness to work with the government of Alberta through a collaborative and trust-based consultation process with council.
And that's it?
Yeah, no, forget that.
Well, I just wonder though, Councillor Williams, if, like what I'm asking is how it's different, but how can they identify what it is? So mine is what is different about the municipal inspection, but yours was
Yes.
what, how can they do that? What's the
Because all this
criteria?
is the public interest.
Right, that whole statement, right?
Yeah, so to me, that's just vague, what
Mhm.
they said. And yeah, like what Councilor Moore said earlier, there was an example in Calgary, so I'm sure that has criminal charges. If it's like that type of examples, then I would support that.
We were going to CC Alberta Munis as well, and I think that was right after all the other rest. And that wasn't in the motion.
We're just gonna CC them because it was said here.
Oh, we don't need him in the motion yet?
I don't think we do, no,
That's okay.
because we're not addressing it to them, we're just
No,
CCing.
no, that's okay.
Yeah. So is everybody happy with that? That was probably the best half-hour administration's ever spent with us. Call the vote, all in favor? That's carried. Okay. Invitation to the Cape event.
Members have an opportunity to read the invitation and the opportunities there. Cape is pushing hard to get better tickets sold by
Tomorrow. So I'm wondering, I got the list of updates on who's bought what, not who specifically, but somebody in Didsbury bought one already, so I don't know if that's relative to this table, but I don't think they were collecting any other information. So there's some options here. Everybody's read the information. I certainly don't have to repeat it. And I think they have, yeah. We could buy individual tickets or a table. Councilor Windsor?
Thank you, Mayor Hunter. I think maybe we should be discussing this first and before a motion is tabled. And I think it might be beneficial to know who would want to attend, who is interested in attending. There's no point in buying a table if there's only 2 people that are interested in going, and I believe that you'll be going as a board member, and so you won't even necessarily be involved in the table side of it. I think that also it needs to be reiterated that whatever is decided, it is just for the ticket alone and not for time or travel. So it may be that, and that's obviously up for discussion with council as well, but I think maybe we need to determine who might want to go to start with before we start tabling some motions. And to start that off, I'll say that I really don't have a lot of interest in going to this.
Thank you, Mayor. And to follow up, Councilor Windsor, I agree. There needs to be discussion. I think a lot of people from council should be able to make it. Unfortunately, I would love to go, but I have plans already that day, so I'm unable to make it.
I'm going to tell the premier.
We'll see you on that.
Yeah, she might miss you in a crowd of 200.
All right.
Anyone else? No? Councilor McCoy? Any comments?
I think Kate's a worthwhile investment, and I wouldn't mind going, but if you're already attending, you can report from.
Well, the motion, or the conversation is that if you go, you could use that out of your professional development funds, but just not charge mileage and time. So anybody can still go, I don't have to represent, like I really probably wouldn't report back that people were there to see the premier, because that was pretty clear what they were there for. But would you still, you want to go?
Yeah, I would.
Okay, so then, oh, well, I can spend that for you then.
No, I would not be able to attend. Actually, it's probably one that would be interesting for me, but I am unable to.
Okay. So,
I'm busy too.
okay. So I think maybe the motion should just be to approve that council members can purchase tickets that are interested in going and do that through Luana and not to charge mileage and time.
Wouldn't we have the motion saying to purchase one ticket?
Well, no, I think you change that because I mean, Councillor McCoy, I don't even think we need number in there. If someone changes their mind, they can still do it. Then we have it tomorrow.
Why would this be exempted from mileage and time, considering all other things are? What makes this so different?
No, because it's,
It's not a volunteer organization.
yeah, but,
Who made that decision?
well, we haven't yet. The motion says that. And I agree with it, but it doesn't mean everybody else does. If you want to go and you want your time and travel paid for, then we have to vote on that. So, we need a motion. Councillor McCoy?
What if we just say to approve the purchase of tickets for the Cape event taking place on May 23rd in Red Deer, Alberta, in the amount of $120 per ticket from the council professional development budget. Their own personal council development budget.
And that time or mileage are not expensed.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I don't agree that I wouldn't vote if, I don't think we should pay people to be there. It's a schmoozing event, it's not a professional development event. We might be able to have to make a different column next year for networking events, not professional development. And it doesn't matter to me, the vote can be what it is, or the motion, if you don't want to add that, Council McCoy, that's up to you, and we can vote on that.
I just think this is cleaner, and then we can make another motion if we want that says no.
Okay, that's, yeah. So you captured that, Luana, it's just remove the line. It's pretty easy. Okay? So I'll call the vote, all in favor? Opposed? Do you want to make a motion to approve time and mileage? Because you can make that motion if you want. Okay.
There have been other things members of this council have gone on that could be called schmoozing. Major trips down east, for example. So eliminating this short trip doesn't make sense. It's just part of if you're going to be representing the town anywhere, you need to be looked after. Period.
And I think we need to take a motion for that then. If you want a motion to,
I'll let someone else do that.
does anyone want to make that motion? Nobody's going. And if no one's, if you're not going, it doesn't, if, like the motion just be made, and if it's, speak up, people, I don't know. I'm confused here.
No point making motions if nobody's getting interest.
Well, we vote on motions, but we can sit here and talk about it and not do anything about it and carry on to the next thing too. Did you want to say something?
Well, I guess if I was to make the motion, that the motion would be that attendance at the Cape event taking place on May 23rd in Red Deer would not be expensed, travel or time.
Or you have to say that it is covered immediately, I don't know.
So, is that a negative motion? Okay, we have 1 minute of time and then we'll move on if no one's going to make a motion.
Quick, I'm just going to say that I see Councillor John's point, and I do wonder if we go down that road for this, then are we going down that road for people to sit on committees that travel all over the province every month?
We made the same motion for people to go to an event not long ago where you could get the tickets, but you couldn't get the time of travel. They'd have to recall the event. I didn't go to it because I wasn't around, but I think it was the RCMP gala is what it was.
You know, we just got to take it.
Yeah.
It has. Just take it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's conclude this.
Well, if no one's going to make a motion, then
So I made a motion, did I not?
what did you say?
It said that it would be expensed. Move that the attendance at the Cape event taking place on 23rd, May 23rd, 2024 in Red Deer is not to be expensed.
Be for the
Travel
ticket
or
only.
time.
Be for the ticket only.
Okay.
That's a more positive motion?
Yes,
Ticket only? Okay.
Ticket only?
But I think that's the motion that's already there. I think that's all, because all that motion says is to approve the tickets. And the fact that the motion doesn't approve people going, like if it was to be a normal expense item, then it'd be a motion to approve council to attend this. And so that motion that was approved is through that.
I didn't make that motion.
Okay, let's move on to the council summer events.
I'll make the motion.
Sure, item 8.8.
I move that council approve council's participation at the Seniors Week event, Canada Day celebration and Sunday Fun Day, and that members of council inform administration of their availability to participate.
Any comments or questions? Okay, call a vote. Oh, sorry, go ahead, Councilor Windsor.
Thank you, Mayor Hunter. I'm just wondering how council is going to advise administration of their availability. Is there to be a survey or something of that nature so that, how we're supposed to do that?
I think there's going to be invitations sent out. No. Yeah. Yes, as you said earlier, we can get the invitations as soon and then when they're closer.
Yeah, we will.
That's kind of our rhythm.
Is
Yes, save the spot and then reminder.
But our motion actually is stating that members of council inform administration.
That's
So-
right.
The calendar.
Yeah, we just have to make this motion and then let them know if we can be there or not, I guess.
Sure. Whatever's
That
easiest.
doesn't help plan anything,
Doesn't
but
matter.
We'll help you inform us.
Give you the opportunity
Okay.
to inform.
We call the vote, all in favor?
I did.
It's carried. 8.9, DDOT new member appointment. Councilor Williams.
Thank you, Mayor. I move to appoint Chris Overwater to the District Economic Development Advisory Committee.
All right, any comments? Call the vote, all in favor? That's carried. And we have item 8.9, 8.10, 2024 marketing plan for academic strategic operations. And Alexa can certainly answer questions if anybody has any, or if there's any supplementary information to that. I think everybody had the opportunity to read. Okay. So supplementary or any questions?
Do you want the motion first?
And maybe supplementary if she has any first.
Yeah, just want to provide a quick, thank you very much, Mayor and Council. I just want to provide a quick past review. Over the past years, we have been preparing the town for growth. With the completion of the Council's priority and economic development strategy, we established a strong foundation to market Didsbury beyond its boundaries. And in the previous years, we primarily utilized social media and advertised in an investment magazine. The recognition via the Mountain View Region Film Office and Didsbury's status as an award-winning community significantly boosted our visibility and garnered free publicity through press releases and media interviews. To maintain this momentum and stay top of mind, it's now time to focus on business retention and our strategy for attracting businesses and visitors, investing in the opportunities outlined in the marketing plan.
Thank you. Questions? Mr. McCoy?
I guess my question is this just a new document that wasn't planned prior to the budget?
It was not prepared at the time for the project plan or for the budget. It was a different budget process.
Okay, thank you. Councilor Windsor?
Thank you, Mayor Hunter. I'm looking at the events that are identified in the plan. I appreciate that David Yor is there and that Urbtopia is there as well. We just had a past weekend a fabulous event that isn't included, the Show and Shine, and think that brings probably more people to the community than any of the other events that are identified. There's a trade show that just happened a few weeks ago that also drew a lot of people, and these are all events that are put together by volunteers in the community. And I think that there needs to be, I would like to see a recognition of the contribution to economic development that the community, that the volunteers in this community are providing. And I don't see that in this plan.
Go ahead.
I can comment on that. Now the opportunities that are before you, they are for the summertime. So there was no marketing beforehand established. And this will be happening for 2025 and moving forward. And now that we know there's a reserve fund, there will be like a different budget with consultation that I can bring forward, to promote those type of events for sure. I know Days of Yore are included in that. This is all for the summer and moving into the fall, and then we're providing the next phase for next year. And definitely, these are definitely events we want to put onto people and visitors top of mind, to also visit Didsbury for the car show and so on. And that there would have been an opportunity for the car show, but it was just too fast of a turnaround. It was too tight to get this included.
I would just like to ask the value of the National Post, $11,000.
Now the National Post, it's a major, I would say, package that they're offering that includes like a video that they're preparing for us, as well as an article about Didsbury, as well as digital strategies that they help display ads about Didsbury, and this is more so for our investment attraction portion of like the marketing plan. Now the Airdrie, for example, and it's not to say that I didn't talk to Olds as well, and I have a little bit of just very little money left in the budget for that, but I'm talking to Olds Radio as well. But it's also important to notice that we want to attract the people from Calgary and from Airdrie in that area up to Didsbury that are traveling that corridor up and down. And we have heard from our businesses that we need to do something, that we need to put Didsbury on the map and just give them the opportunity to advertise. And that would be, for example, covered by the radio, Airdrie Radio. And they apparently have quite a few listeners from Didsbury.
Anything else? Councilor Williams?
Thank you, and thanks for all the hard work they put into this. Is this a draft plan or is this the final plan?
For the summer, that is the plan, except like these are the bigger items that we're looking at and going into the fall, as I said. And then in the summertime, we're going to the next 12 months this time.
I'll just follow up on that. So are you going to be coming back with a 2025 plan?
When budget comes around, and I will come up with another marketing plan for the year ahead.
Councilor McCoy?
I think it's a great idea. I would like to see upfront the evaluation metrics currently versus when you're all done.
Now that's a little bit difficult to do when we are trying to do like let's say like key performance indicators for those campaigns. We will not be able to do this beforehand. We're gonna have to do the marketing first, and then we can determine if this is going to be a success or not. And I outlined how we're going to measure it, but it is not possible to do this beforehand. These would be all predictions and nothing tangible. We can only go by what their previews are, what their comparable metrics were with other communities, for example, and they have been looking quite favorable. So I did my research on that, and I found those ones like the most valuable for the next few months. And then we can evaluate if those were successful, and then in 2025 we can determine what we could do again. Some of those, I have to say, will not come back. That's like a one shot, which would be, for example, the National Post, where's their innovation type of integration in their section, and like the different articles we will receive for that money.
I just have one, I think I've mentioned this in conversation when it was coming forward, that it's extremely unusual for an operating budget to be passed in May. And it's added $40,000, what I see, to next year's budget already. So I guess I'm just, like I said, it's unusual to see an operating budget right now, and I would have liked better planning. I don't know how it happened, and I understand some circumstances, but I still don't understand why a budget was presented without a good budget for the economic development department. And I wouldn't want to see this happen next year. that we're passing operating budgets, new ones out of reserves in the middle of the year. And it's unusual too to get an operating budget out of a reserve, and I understand how that happened, but at the same time, everybody's reserves happen through their operating budget, leftover money. So then that money goes into reserves. So that's just my concern. It is a concern to me that we're passing a new operating budget in May. But other than that, I always appreciate that, yeah, I see that. I always appreciate that there's innovation and good ideas here, and I don't know that I support the National Post money. I think I'd rather stay provincial with that kind of advertising, but it'll show in the votes, I guess. Ethan?
Well, just to shed a little light, this is a unique circumstance, and it's a couple of years ago there was a large increase given to economic development for marketing and things like that. That then during the year, just due to timelines and things that weren't done in that year, and so instead of increasing that economic development budget every year, the proposal was, let's take that money that wasn't quite ready to be used yet, as Alexa was working on a strategy for this, let's put it in the reserve so that when she's got a strategy ready to do it, then she can bring forth a proposal to council to utilize some of that. So this is a unique situation. There is extra money in the reserve specifically that was set aside for when there was a vision ready to be presented for that had previously been in the budget, but wasn't ready yet to be utilized.
Yeah, I think I acknowledged that in my comments, that I understand the situation. But it's the same way everybody gets reserves, was my point, so we can leave it at that, that's fine. And I don't think we've had a motion made yet. So, sure. Who's got hand is up?
I move that council approve the 2024 marketing plan and provide $40,030 from the Economic Development Reserve Fund for the initiatives outlined.
Councilor McCoy?
I'm not sure if it's required, but would you be willing to accept a friendly amendment that would include that this amount would be updated into the budget? Like, so that our budget shows that this has been added.
Amanda, you mean that's
Well, you're adding $40,000 to the economic development budget, and I want it to reflect on the budget actual, so that at the end of the year, we're not looking at one number of revenue, and it's way over because we spent this extra money.
I know what you mean, Councilor McCoy. Maybe Amanda can address that, how it will show.
Well, typically on the operating budget, we don't go through the process of amending it. Rather, we track any motions that are made by council approving extra funds that may come out of a reserve. So for example, recently there was money approved by council for additional expenses to come from a reserve. The operating budget wasn't amended for that. However, if the expenses are much higher than what was budgeted, in the budget to actual report, you'll see a note explaining that there was 15,000 additional money approved for that spending. Same with this marketing plan. It would happen the same way. So, I mean, if we want to go and change how we make operating budget amendments, we can look at that, but that's not the process at this time.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it's an answer.
Well, I asked the same thing, I think, when we got those 2 grants for the fire department, how that would reflect when we're getting extra money in, and it's shown. It just doesn't, you don't go back and amend the operating. So maybe at the next I don't see a will to maybe change that right now, but maybe that's something for the financial planning committee down the road to just discuss that as a, because you're not busy enough.
Is that, so,
We'll proceed with the motion.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. And I'm gonna say I'll vote this year, but I wouldn't vote next year for this to happen, so I will vote in favor this year. And I will call the vote. All in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Okay, we have, everybody's got our facilitator for the final stretch refresher workshop. As you can read, would like us to select dates, and he would prefer a Saturday. And I'm just going to run through Saturdays. Larry had a chance to read there. 8:30 to 4:30. And we can do that Saturday, May 25th. It's the CAO and council. Good for you?
No. That is not good for me. The 18th and the 1st for Saturdays will be better for me.
The 18th is this weekend.
it's also a long weekend.
Yeah, this weekend.
Yeah.
Councillor Windsor?
I'm good on the 18th, 25th, 1st, and then we're in FCM.
Councillor Moore?
I'm not sure. I might be called to another province, but I will be there if I'm here.
Deputy Mayor?
I'm not good on the 18th or 25th.
Councillor McCoy?
I can do the 25th, the 1st. But I think it'd be important for as many people as possible to be able to.
I think that's the point, is everybody's there. Councillor Baswick?
I note in his response that he would work evenings as well.
Yep.
Committed to just Saturdays. So that is another option.
Well, I had to prompt him for that answer though, because he said Saturdays, and so I knew what this council would say, and so I said, well, I almost said something different, but I said this.
Right.
And then he came back with 2 3-hour nights. So I was starting with Saturdays to see if that would be a success for a one-day workshop. And if it can't be, then
We not agreed on the 1st, people not available on the 1st.
I am not here on first. It's the only day I'm not here. And I just even think, to be honest, I did look at FCM, and their Saturday isn't that awesome. Like it's not a great Saturday at FCM. So,
I'm open any day, so I'm
okay.
just gonna
That's.
wait.
It is the,
Yeah, I can probably do that. Having it in a full day, I think is ideal when you're doing something that is sort of overarching like that rather than interrupting it.
So during the week, we do.
no, I said, oh, council could only do things probably. Yeah. Based on our history.
8 works for me.
8th. Councillor Moore?
Yes.
Councillor Windsor? No? You said no?
I could make it work, but it's not for me right now.
Councillor Baswick?
I'm not that busy anytime soon.
Right, okay. And
So we
Ethan,
gotta pick a date, like.
and Ethan is the 8th? Okay, so I'm gonna just say the 8th, and then we can go around, only not for very long. And I don't want to cut anybody, this is important, everybody's there, is my point. Councilor McCoy, and then the other, so can I say 21st, 22nd? No, that's next week already.
It's okay.
What, okay. We can try for the 21st, 22nd next week.
We have that library tour on the 21st.
Didn't we settle on the 8th?
Yes, but Deputy Mayor can't be there.
Oh, no.
So we can find,
Or could we do 22, 23?
well, 23 is the Cape May event.
Oh, right.
21st, 22nd, 24th, 29th, and 30th, and 31st, all up for me.
29th won't work for you, you'll have a policy and governance unless we do it after that.
Oh, sure.
Is it 29th and 30th would work for me?
Can we do
Thank you
the,
for knowing my schedule.
can we do the 3rd and 4th? June 3rd and 4th? Monday, Tuesday?
No, I have 2 birthdays on the 3rd.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, then the 20, yeah, I'm away the 29th to the 2nd.
So,
So we have Saturday the 8th, and now we're just looking for 2 weeknights that would work. 3 hours at a time.
like, I noted in his, I'm sorry, Mayor, I noted in his response that the sooner the better. is
Yes,
what
you did
he
say
said.
that.
And so, couldn't we look at next week?
Was 21, 22 out, did somebody say?
Just the library
I'm out of
tour.
town.
The library.
Can we zoom you in?
I can zoom in.
Well, that's okay, I think Melinda would understand. I mean, I think that to get this in, we could ask Melinda for another date for that.
I'm probably gone too, but I can zoom in anytime that I'm gone.
That's a good point.
21, 22?
Yeah, I can, like I said, I can do that evening, it's just I'm out of town.
Yeah.
Just be-
Okay, so we can go with the 8th, but I'll tell them one's missing. 21, 22,
Is everybody?
Tuesday, Wednesday, it sounds good for everybody. And we'll take it from there, and you can't zoom in on the 8th? Okay.
So 21 and 22, we're over.
Well, yeah, that's what everybody can do here, and the 8th would cut somebody out, so.
What time are you starting?
He'll let us know,
All right.
yeah.
I think.
I don't know what his time is, so.
6:30, isn't it?
I don't know, like, he'll reach out. Okay, so let's make a motion for that then. 21st, 22nd for our final stretch refresher workshop.
Thank you, Mayor. I move to set the dates May 21st and May 22nd for the final refresher workshop. Time to be confirmed later.
Okay, cool.
All in favor? That's carried. Opposed? Sorry about that. Okay. I lost my reading sheet. I gotta find it again.
Do you want the correspondence?
Can do it.
portion? Thank you. Oh, it's left.
Okay, correspondence and information. Councilor Moore?
I move that council accept the correspondence provided as information.
Okay, any questions? Councilor McCoy?
Just one, if you allow through the chair, to know, do we owe the 8%? And do we owe 4 of it this year? Well, or 8 of it this year? Because that again would affect the budget.
We have our.
That's for Amanda, you think it?
I haven't received any information as far as invoices or anything like that goes. I know last time it took quite a while after approval to get the actual calculation completed.
But we did budget 3.5% that, right? Based on what they were bargaining?
I don't believe so.
Did we budget anything?
I'd have to look.
Oh, oh. Okay,
That, I would have to look, but that doesn't ring a bell.
well, we need a motion for you to bring back that back as soon as you get it. Like, well, I know, but they would do a lot of
The
things
invoice?
anyway. Well, when the invoices come in, when this comes in, the statements that are gonna impact us.
Yeah, well, they would come to council to get approved to be paid. Because as far as I'm aware, we haven't budgeted for it. I'd have to look. We have lots of room in the budget because we're
down members.
Yeah.
But same, I thought we did 3.5 because that was what everybody was talking about. So anyway, those are those questions, and you'll bring that when it comes to you in the mail. I think I'll get that too in the mail, but just with. Okay, so anything else about the correspondence and information? Anybody that wants to go to the Glenville Parade certainly can. Just let them know. And I'll call the vote. All in favor? Okay. Council meeting highlights. We'll start with Deputy Mayor again.
Well, I'm sure someone else is going to choose my 30-minute motion, so I won't. I would say the Didsbury Fire Department showcasing the new rescue vehicle would be my highlight.
Okay. Councilor McCoy?
This is sort of unusual, but I was thinking when I came in today that there's a lot of work that goes into this meeting that happens before us, including especially these three and these guys over here. And I appreciate all the work you do behind the scenes to get us where we are.
Councilor Bazick?
Well, this is going to be popular. I like the information and the extensive dialogue on Bill 20. I'm hoping we're heading in the right direction with that particular legislation from our provincial government.
All right. Councilor Williams?
I am going to say the Roadworks Award recommendation. 8.4. I'm excited to see those 3 projects done.
All right. Councilor Windsor?
Thank you, Mayor Hunter. The tax rate bylaw,
Yeah.
out of the way finally.
Marilyn will be excited. Councilor Moore?
I'll go with the economic development plan. It sounds like an exciting summer.
All right.
I had that written down.
I don't know. I should go first sometimes. I'm happy to see there's if you're getting paid more. They deserve it. That's sincere, but I'm not. That's not my highlight by any means. Yeah, I'm just going to pick an easy one on multi-year capital plan because I like to see that in place and ready for next year since our budget will be underway soon after we pass this tax rate bylaw. All right, so I will have any gallery questions? No. All right, well, thanks again. Come and Phil, and I'll have a motion to go closed. Mr. Williams, all in favor? Carried. Yeah, there's only three, so Lisa will give us the top of that. Oh, it's up already. So Councilor Wood, you're gonna make 12.1 draft land sale policy motion.
Wait for the thumbs up from Lisa.
She said it was.
She did, yeah.
Are you good? Okay. I move that council send draft land sale policy to the regular council meeting for review and recommendation.
Call the vote, all in favor? That's carried. Special purpose committee?
Okay, so I will move that the council accept the special purpose committee update as information.
Call the vote, all in favor? That's carried. 12.3, Councilor Moore?
Oh,
This is information.
okay. I move that council accept the information on the land sale agreements as information.
Is it okay to just accept the land sale agreements as information?
Yes. I would accept
Land sale agreement discussion.
Yeah.
that. Okay.
And we're gonna identify the lands, like in the motion, the land will be identified.
Oh, you want two
Well, she'll catch that.
designations.
Call the vote, all in favor?
We have to do the final stretch date.
No, we did that in the public meeting.
Mhm.
Why do I have them closed?
And, well, we moved it to
Changed it.
8.11.
When I was here?
Yes, at the beginning. They were-
12.4 governance interface to accept as in,
Information?
yeah. Call the vote, all in favor? Who would like to adjourn the meeting? Councilor Williams, all in favor? 9:51, 9 o'clock. So long.
I have 9 minutes.